Come to think of it, this might have I should I should probably make this one of the podcasts. But I wanted to talk about Batman Returns. Bat- Batman Returns. This is the movie that I was thinking about last week, and it took a big chunk of brain space. Where it was a trying to figure out, well, not figure out, but just going over it and trying to understand it better. It was challenging. Um, this is my favorite movie of the Tim Burton stuff. These Batman movies, and I don't know. There's something about it. There's something about the music. It's a lot of it is the ballroom scene. That is such a haunting romantic scene. It's one of the best cinema scenes, I think. Um, I don't know. This is a really good movie. Uh, but yeah, most of last week I couldn't figure it out. It it's got Batman, the Penguin, and Catwoman. All these Batman movies are kind of confusing. It the villain is Batman. It plays out like an episode of Batman. And then the villains show up, and you see comic book movies are always like that. You the villain shows up, and you see how troubled they are, and then they want something, and then the hero stops them, and then the credits roll. I saw one of the screenshots got by. I took clips off of YouTube, so that was someone else's channel. Um, so in this one is Catwoman. I'm a fan of the character. I actually read Catwoman comics. I prefer the graphic novels. Tim Sales and Jeff Loeb, their stuff is great. If I were to recommend something, also Darwin Cook. But this also might be a Christmas movie. I don't know the tone of it. There's something about the tone of this movie that's enjoyable. I remember seeing it in the theater, but yeah, it's a lot. I don't know what to say right now. There's it took I can't tell you how many hours I spent thinking about this movie. I was just standing there at work, and the hours go by, and I was just thinking about Batman Returns to get me through the day. It was just nothing but Batman Returns. Then I go sit down, and it's more Batman Returns, trying to figure it out. And what I found out, not found out, but what I think, my personal opinion about the writing of this is that it's not so much a hero versus villain movie. It's more a type of ensemble piece of, look what happened to these three people and how can they get better. It's Batman, Catwoman, and the Penguin, and they're all in the same rotten position. And my brain kept rolling around. Every time I'd get lost and not understand even what I was thinking, I'd roll back around to the scene where they first meet each other. And it's three people standing in the street staring at each other for no reason. It's the strangest thing. It doesn't make sense of where you'd where you'd have a comic book movie, and all of a sudden the whole cast just shows up in the middle of the street and starts staring at each other. It's an introduction too. It's, hi, I'm Batman, good to meet you. And then he's like, hi, I'm the Penguin. And then Catwoman dances over and says, hi, I'm Catwoman. And then something explodes. It's the strangest thing, but it makes sense. And the other thing is that these lives, the live streams, I've already I've already done it. I've already gone through this thing of me trying to figure it out, and this one would have been a lot of fun. I shouldn't do that anymore. I probably shouldn't do that anymore after going over Batman Returns, because now I'm just talking about my thoughts instead of sitting here trying to understand it, because I've already gotten to an understanding of what this is trying to say. But it's really is worth talking about. It's a really good movie. It's a really good film. I'd put this film out of all the Batman films, even the new ones with Pattinson. I'd put this one in Criterion. Maybe the first two. Also, there's things I haven't seen. I haven't seen the third Batman movie in a long time, but that one's a little more disjointed, and it's a comedy. Half of it's comedy, and it will make you laugh. The fourth one, I think the fourth one is a masterpiece. Personally, I'm not joking. I am not joking. I believe that the fourth movie is a masterpiece, and I could do an essay on it. Um, so yeah, if I were to, yeah, the Clooney one. If I were to place any of these in Criterion, it would be this one, and then maybe the first one and the fourth one. And if you're doing that, if you're doing that, you might as well put the third one. You might as well do the third one too. But that is pure comedy. They took out. I might as well talk about it next. They took out so much of the drama. Um. Okay, so talk about the movie. I guess this could be a shorter chat since I were okay. I'm trying to think because I get stuck. I could talk about this. I could talk about to have this make sense the most. I kind of push the penguin to the side a little bit because the penguin character is helping to define the other two. Um, there's okay. I'm gonna start with Batman maybe. In this story, it's it starts out with I believe it's Max Shrek who's he's running for mayor or he is the mayor. I haven't gone over it, but I could look at the wiki. All right, the plot. Um, in Gotham City, two wealthy societies, horrified by the birth of their malformed and feral son Oswald, abandon him in the sewers, where he is taken in by a colony of penguins. 33 years later, during the Christmas season, it is a Christmas movie, wealthy industrialist Max Schreck is abducted by the Red Triangle Gang. Former circus performers implicated in child disappearances across the country and taken to their hideout in the abandoned Arctic exhibit at Gotham Zoo. The leader, Oswald, now known as the Penguin, blackmails Max with evidence of his corruption and murders, coercing him into helping Oswald re-enter Gotham's high society. They're they're saying he's an industrialist, which means that he wants to rebuild Gotham. Okay, I got it wrong. It's him that wants to rebuild Gotham. He's a wealthy man. The whole time when I was thinking it, I thought he was running for mayor. Um, because there's why would it? I didn't make it doesn't make sense. Why would an industrialist at Christmas time hold a press conference? He has his son there, and he's like, "My dad, Max Shrek," and then he gives his speech, and then the circus clowns attack. I remember Penguin's kidnapping all the first sons of Gotham. It's very Batman. That is a very I forgot. That sounds just like a Batman comic book. The Penguin is upset about his lot in life. Um, okay, so it starts out with Max Shrek, and then there's a circus attack, and then Batman shows up, and it's the most violent Batman there ever was. But it's also comical in a way because he's just handing the villains back what they're tossing at him. Um, okay, I'm gonna try. I know this sounds so disjointed already because I'm not getting to the point. The point is these three characters meet in the street, and what happens is it. I think that they're all similarly tortured. It's they're all showing up in the middle of the street and they're all meeting each other, all three of them, and they're all in costume, which means how do I say this? That they're because because of what they've gone through with Batman, he lost his parents. And because of that, he's tortured by it. And he puts on the cowl. Because of the loss of his parents, he's haunted and he puts on a superhero uniform of the Batman. And he goes out and he beats up other crooks that were the type of people who killed his parents. So he's standing there in the street as Batman, as a tortured person. With Selena Kyle, she was the secretary of Max Shrek. And this industrialist didn't trust her. And late one night, he found her working too late. And his distrust of her, and I don't know, he's a bit of a psychopath, but he ends up killing her. He pushes her out of a window like a mob boss, saying, "You're not where you belong." And for someone who has dedicated their life to supporting him, that individual, and for him to just dump her out of a window one night, she doesn't, she basically dies. Her character dies of the nervous secretary. And something rises up that says, "I'm worth more than that. You didn't treat me well. I deserve better." And she wakes up and she goes home, and her whole life looks different to her because she was this soft, gentle individual who made dolls, played with the dollhouse as an adult. She sewed, she did arts and crafts. She had a very feminine environment. Her apartment looks super uh what tea party? It looks like a little girl's tea party. Like it, Selena Kyle in this movie is portrayed as a little girl that grew up and stayed at her little tea party. And one day she had to be mean. And she goes home and she tears the place up. And she says, "I can't make the world nice like this, where everything's in its little place." And she becomes Catwoman. She picks up spray paint and leather and starts hurting people and whipping, and she stands there in the street tortured, saying they should have treated me better. Her boss should have treated her better. And now she's going to go around and take from rich folks like her boss. Now, the Penguin's a little different. The Penguin's similar to Batman. The Penguin was rejected by his parents. As soon as he was born, he was thrown away for being different. He's got he's got two mangled hands and sharp teeth and a giant nose that looks like a penguin. And he was tossed into the river, which is what they do with cats. They drown cats like that on farms where they have too many cats. So the penguin is also, even though he's a little off looking, he's still a person. And he says, "My family should have treated me better. It's not right that he's living in seclusion like some Morlock, like some sort of underdweller. That he's saying, I it's not fair. I can be part of society." And the way he tries to say it is by becoming mayor. He says, "It's not fair, everyone. I can be part of society." So all these, he's tortured by it. He literally says it in the movie. He literally talks about how his life is unfair. So all these three people find themselves staring at each other one night. And in my mind, I kept saying it's a meeting of the minds. They're trying to figure something out. They just bump into each other one night, and they stand there, and they're dumbfounded about it. They can't believe it that there's someone else in the world as, I don't know, drastic as they are. Uh, but what it means is, even comic books say this, that because, well, they're being dark, is what it is. All three of them are being dark, which which means that they're living in their shadow. I keep saying this over and over again. They're living in their shadow. These people are being dark, which means that they're living in their ego. Batman 2. There are comic books written about it. They're living in their shadow, which means that they're living in their ego. And they're standing there and they're looking at someone like that. And this movie is giving the impression that they're saying, maybe we can help each other out of this. I don't think this is a hero versus villain movie. I don't think that at all. I think it's three tortured people who bump into each other one night and say, life could be different. How can we get back to normal? Because Batman is confronted with the villain, the Penguin, and the Penguin's a little different as far as a villain goes because he wants to be part of society. He's too out there, he's too aggressive. He wants to run for mayor. Batman can't show up and just punch a mayor candidate for some reason. Selina is the same way in a way. Where what is she doing? She's robbing people. If you can catch her. That's the problem with Catwoman is, did she rob that place? She doesn't have a gang, or she's not trying to blow stuff up. She's not plotting against people. She's after money so that she can live comfortably. And it's like, did how do you afford this apartment? Is what all it comes down to with Selena. There's as far as Catwoman's concerned, there's nothing. She's just as bad as Batman. She'll run out in the street and she'll beat up crooks. She's out there just like him, beating up crooks. She looks after prostitutes, orphans, homeless. But how did she afford that apartment? Is the whole thing, and that's how it is with Batman. He'll he meets her. He's in love with her. One thing for one thing, but he'll show up at her apartment. She'll do, she'll go out. She'll go out and think she had a great night doing a heist, and then Batman will show up and just stand at her apartment and say, "Put it back," or is that how you've been affording all this? He's basically telling her to get a job. I don't know, but her whole problem is that she cared too much at her job. So forget all that. So he's standing there looking at the penguin, and he can't punch him in the face or anything. It's just a rotten man in the street. He's standing there looking at Selena, and even though she blew up the department store, did she? She danced away from it. And I think they're actually saying, how can we help each other get out of this? Now, with who am I gonna pick on? I it's I when I was thinking about this last week, I pushed the penguin to the side. So maybe I should talk about him first, so I can just rattle on about the other two, because it took me forever. And the penguin, that looks like a face. The penguin, he's basically saying it's not fair that I'm being rejected. And then in this story, he, in order to get past living in his shadow, living in his ego, he picks community. There, I don't know if I'm explaining this properly, or the best way to do it, but they're standing there in the street saying, maybe we can help each other out of this somehow. And that means that how you have to ask the question: how does someone stop being narcissistic? How do they get over a wound? How do they get past a trauma? That's literally what this story is digging into. I can't believe it. On the surface, it's a campy Batman movie about the Penguin with bombs and things. But actually, it's three tortured individuals standing in the street looking at each other, saying, how can we help each other get past trauma? And the Penguin immediately flies away and says, goodbye, I'm out of here. Catwoman, she's the first to jump away. The Penguin says, I'll see you later, you two. But Catwoman just runs to a rooftop and then she fights with Batman, which is saying the Penguin separate. He didn't show up on the rooftop, which means the Penguin flew away. Batman and Selina said, maybe you're the answer. Maybe we could help each other out of our problem. So it's saying that in order for someone to get past, I don't want to say darkness, in order for someone to get past a trauma, let's say, then this story is saying that they need someone else to help them through it. Uh, Common sense says they need to work on whatever was bothering them. So you have to look at their character. Now with Batman, he's dealing with the death of his parents to gun violence. How do you get over that? Well, with Batman, he has to. I think the answer is to move on from it, but that's not. I thought of this before. It wasn't. It wasn't It wasn't. I need water. It wasn't specifically to move on. It was. That is too simple to say. To just move on, just get over it. That's not what Batman's problem is. Okay, now this is fun because I have to kind of think of it all over again. With Batman, what is he asking for was is what it is. With the loss of, he sits there and he broods and he looks at his parents' grave, which means he's longing. He's longing for his parents. He's longing for the love of his parents. and he can't have that. So, in order to move on, I think Batman needs to, it's not simply grow up, but he needs to replace that focus of longing for the love of his parents. And character wise, it makes sense for him to um, long for the love of his wife instead, which is natural. People are born and then they care about their parents, and then they get to a certain age, and you don't fall in love with your buddies or your friends who want to joke around with you. You find that special someone, your wife or your husband. And that is specifically the kind of relationship that he's staring at. So, character wise, in order to heal Batman from being Batman, he has to look for a wife. He has to replace that love that he's staring at or longing for with the love of a spouse like Selina. So in this story, when they're staring at each other, and the penguin darts away and says goodbye, you two, and they immediately hit the rooftop. They're basically saying to each other, maybe we could help each other out of this. Um, I think it's pretty neat. Batman, the how do you fix Batman? If you ever see a Batman story where he starts to step away from being Batman and falls in love, they're getting it right, I think. I have to admit, I cry at the Christian Bale Batman movies. The third one. That movie makes me cry because I think they got it right, or I don't know, there's something about the ending. There's something about the ending of that movie where is bright and is joyful and it's sad. Because I think they did a proper ending for Batman. Um, they tried in the Phantasm, and people love that too. But that's not Selena. That's a whole nother subject that I like to get into. Where if you pair Batman with anyone, it has to be Selena. It has to be Catwoman. Uh, they keep trying to pair him with Wonder Woman. They tried they tried to pair him with Talia. Talia almost makes sense. And I hate it. I absolutely hate it. In in the comics there's Damian Wayne. And I do not like that character. I do not like the character of Damian Wayne. Specifically because it's supposed to be Catwoman. It I understand it though. With Damian is the story of Bruce Wayne, Batman. His mentor is Ra's al Ghul. Ra's al Ghul taught Batman how to be Batman. So Batman runs off to the League of Shadows and he learns how to be this super ninja, this crime fighter. And his mentor has a daughter, Talia al Ghul. So what they're building is the story of Batman, the world's greatest detective, is also partly in love with the boss's daughter. It's something hanging over him, which means he has to punch up and get past it. It's is what it is it sounds almost like what would you call it? I forgot the word. Um uh yeah, but he falls in love with the boss's daughter. Personally, I think he doesn't fit with Wonder Woman either. And to talk about Wonder Woman, I don't think Wonder Woman should be partnered with anyone because Wonder Woman is such a fantastical character. She's amazing. I'm slowly, it's taken a little while, but over the years I've grown to become a Wonder Woman fan to the point where I'm willing to buy an action figure or something. I draw her sometimes. It's the idea of a person. I don't think they play with it enough. The fact that she's from clay. They keep trying to make her real. Like she has I would throw away all that comic where they try to give her a dad. It is that story is her mom playing with clay and then saying bibbity bobbity boo and she shows up. Wonder Woman is the idea of a person. It's so fantastical. She's the concept of something walking around. It's not like when you see the roster of Justice League, those are all people. those are those are all people unless they're a robot. Those are all people who came from someone. And then you stare at Wonder Woman. She's not real. At any moment, you could say the magic words and she'll become a non living thing again. Or if they wanted to write that, it's so out there. is her mom wanted to build the perfect Amazon or something. It's 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 neat is what it is, but I'm not talking about Wonder Woman right now. The the story the story when I went on a tangent. I think Batman belongs with Selena. I think he belongs with Catwoman. There's something about their character that fits. It's I'm gonna try it. Hold on. Thinking I'm looking at the time, and on OBS it says I'm at 52 minutes. I might cut this short to an hour and then make another video. But when I look at Damien, I can't stand it. It's tough because partially because the character doesn't care about Batman. The character I just called him an it. The character of Damien, he doesn't care about Batman. He tries to. It's the weirdest thing. It's a Robin that doesn't respect Batman, and it's tough for me. It's tough for me to see. It's a Robin that doesn't mind killing people. He's full League of Shadows. I get it. It's like, what if Robin were more Batman than Batman? Robin is more militant than Batman. He's complete League of Shadows. It's somewhat amusing to some comic book people. But Robin is not Batman. Robin is Dick Grayson, the Flying Graysons. He's a circus act. Robin is ta-da. Ta-da, I did it. And then he stands there with imp boots. He has the original Robin wore like Pan is part of the Fae almost. He in the comics you always see him working on somersaults and tumbles and acrobatics. He's flying through the air. He doesn't want to hurt Batman. I don't know. It's the strangest thing. I think if they wanted to build those characters of where Batman has a family and they move on, he pairs him. You pair him with Selena. This is just my own personal thought. I think you pair him with Selena and you give them a daughter that can't decide if she wants to be a crook or not. You write something entirely different of where a person has to decide if they want to go be a crook and steal stuff or be a Cape Crusader. because at that point it really doesn't make sense because they're rich. Why would a rich person go out and steal stuff? It's really interesting. If Catwoman marries Batman, she can no longer be Catwoman. I've never thought about that. But I guess that's what this story is saying. In a way. But yeah, I was I was getting to that conclusion in another way. Um, how so the question is how can Catwoman get past her character wound? She's I really should talk about that kind of wraps things up. I really should talk about the Penguin. Um, it's almost an hour, which means in the next one I'm gonna try and keep it short. These are fun. Is it would have been hours and hours. This one is kind of sad because I would have had video after video of me trying to figure out what to say, and it's I don't know how many hours. It would have been I would have been 5 6 hours in trying to figure this out. So um, I think Batman Returns is really neat. And if you're listening to this, thanks for listening.